everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sundays with the Sprinkles. Brett Sprinkle here, as always. Joining with me is Brandon Shanahan, who is on a porch somewhere in Missouri. Tyler will be joining us later, but first we have a guest. Brian's joining us. So we're going into a fantasy football league. We're going into a dynasty fantasy football league. I've never done this before, and there's one person who I talked to who just sounds a little bit less dumber than I do when we talk about fantasy football. That is Brian Geronimo Bixler. Brian Bixler, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Doing great. Geronimo's new for me, but I'll take it. It fits.
Wait, is that not your middle name?
No, it sounds a little more foreign than Andrew, but
I thought you told me that you were Native American.
Oh, that would be a great thing to put on a resume for me.
Like 95% you told me. Like, dude, this guy told me he's like Cherokee and fucking Apache. Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
no, I think you just list that on like job applications.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Yeah.
It's like nobody can really ask you if that's true, you know? Do you see the scars of my people in my eyes? Just ask them that. They ever ask you. But yeah, going over Brian's resume so everybody knows, he says, this is what he sent to me. This is him talking himself up, by the way. About 6 years in fantasy, followed football in high school, but never got into it like I am now until college. Also do want to point out, Brian, Pitt grad, very proud of that. He's also won 2 championships in normal fantasy, placed top 3 his first year in Dynasty. And then he texted me after that, how do I join this bitch? So he doesn't know how to join a podcast, but he does know a little something about fantasy football. Brian, how are you doing today? How are you doing today?
Doing great. Doing wonderful. Happy to be here.
Okay. So you started your first Dynasty League last year.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts going into it? Were you a little nervous? Like what were your overall preparations going into it?
Was very excited because I've always heard a lot about Dynasty, but I never had enough people like in my group or like friend area that were like committed to a long-term fantasy league until we got this one put together. It's a 14-man league, and there's like 2 receiver spots, 1 tight end, 2 flexes, 2 running backs. So it's a very deep league. So you get some rookies and like third stringers on your teams just as a safety net. So you got to get really intricate and like in detail with the planning for it. The first draft was extremely fun just because you're picking from like every possible player in the NFL and there's a lot of long-term thinking. So it's very different in my opinion than like a normal fantasy draft for 1 year.
I'm drafting my franchise quarterback first pick.
For sure. I respect that.
I was so certain that you wouldn't like put 2 and 2 together and like how important that is, and that you were gonna see somebody take Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes and be like, "I'm getting Justin Jefferson. This is great."
Absolutely
so I was
not.
convinced that you were gonna botch it.
Jefferson was mine, ironically, but I was pick number 5. So the 4 young star quarterbacks were all off the board, and I was like, I'll be the first to take a skill player.
Brandon, I wish we had sound effects on this thing so I can do like the ESPN draft ticker. Dun, 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 dun. That's probably copyrighted though, you know.
Yeah, you're gonna get sued so hard.
Oh, I know. I'm looking at it right now. So we got Rob picking first, me picking second, Tyler picking third. Fuck you, Tyler. Austin's fourth. Who's the doctor's? The doctor's
Drew
office?
Russell.
Drew Russell. Okay, because that's funny because I thought that was Luke Doyle, the doctor that I know.
That would make sense.
It's not. Yeah. Ball and Luke is the doctor I know. Brandon, how are you? Like, what's your strategy going into this draft? Since you have like, I don't know, what pick do you even have? Like,
I got pick 8. So basically, I put together the top 9 guys that I'd be happy with. Would love if enough people botch it and I get a great quarterback.
Feels good.
So I'm banking on a little bit. Yeah. But and I'm so glad that I did so much mocking last night because I realized I have no plan for the tight end position. I
have a plan for the tight end position.
No plan whatsoever. So I have
early and often, buddy.
That's not. I mean, go for it. Go for it. And then the third round reversal threw me off because after the third round it reverses and then it stays the same. So getting into that flow helped quite a bit. But I mean, it'll be different because I mean, for the 3 years that I did our redraft league, I did not give a shit about quarterbacks. I'm like, I'll just I'll just pick up Baker Mayfield at the end of it and call it good. And like that was fine for the most part. And not this year. Different ball game.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on quarterbacks. I always thought that, they're a dime a dozen. They're still going to get their stats. They're still going to put up the best, the most points in the league typically, especially with our format in the past has always been 6 points for a passing touchdown. And we discussed it before we started the podcast that since we're going into a super flex league, where quarterbacks can play in the flex, that we're going to drop it back down to 4, make things a little bit easier for the rest of the positions. Brian, what are your draft strategies going into it? So you're in year 2 now. We're in year 1, but what's your draft strategy going into year 2?
Going into year 2, I think it depends a lot on reflecting on year 1 for sure and seeing your weak spots. The fun part about Dynasty is trading picks. You can get very excited and overshoot that. I've seen that in my league already in 1 year. It makes some trades that are just absolutely horrendous. But my running back spot, for example, was definitely a weak spot. I do have McCaffrey, but like I said, we have 2 active running backs that you're playing every week and 2 flex spots, so usually another running back there. And that was always where I lost some points in comparison to who I was playing. So I had a second-round pick that somebody really wanted to trade for. It was the end of the second round. They were going to take Malachi Corley, which they did. I wasn't really interested. My wide receivers are locked in. They're pretty good. I got some young guys too. So I traded back a couple spots and took Bucky Irving, who's the rookie for the Buccaneers. I think long-term he's going to fill a good role there. He's kind of like a Rashad White, but younger and maybe a little bit more elusive. So I'm excited to see how he plays this year because I think they're going to be closer to a 2 running back scheme going than Rashad White taking the brunt of it. So I'm curious to see how that goes.
And that's what I love so much about this format is I don't think I would have even considered those guys in a redraft league. Wouldn't have even thought about them. But now that you're kind of building your running back room based on, potential and the ceiling, not just this year, but years going forward, I mean, it's a game changer. I love this shit. I love it.
Totally. Same. It excites me.
Well, I did a couple pre-draft interviews, asked some questions. I know which one likes dogs, which one likes cats. If their girlfriend murdered somebody, how quickly they would rat on them. So those are stuff that I know, but that's the kind of homework that I do to make sure my quarterback room, my running back room, my wide receiver room is in tip-top shape.
Okay.
Sent out the sprinkle lick test.
Yeah, the sprinkle lick test. I just lick you. Who just texted me taking Josh Allen number 1 is wild. Oh,
I've seen that a lot.
I would probably take Mahomes.
Well, it's Michelson that texted me. It's a Dynasty League.
Did you say Michelson?
Yeah. Me and him are boys. Me and him are fucking buds. I
love it. I love it. Did you guys start your draft yet or no?
Yeah, no, it started. Yeah, Josh Allen went 1. Oh, yeah, live updates. Josh Allen went number 1. Patrick Mahomes went number 2 to your boy.
Nice.
That was kind of predictable. I expected that. I will say in the mock drafts that I did, everyone just kept taking Christian McCaffrey number 1. So that was a little
running backs
a little unrealistic.
Are so dangerous to take in a dynasty league too early, just because you don't play much past 30. Meanwhile, you got quarterbacks that are going to play substantially well into the 40s if they wanted to, if they're that kind of a star. McCaffrey could play till his early 30s. We'll see about that, but I wouldn't put it past
it feels like a good short-term pick.
Yeah.
But running backs freak me out. The only time in my mocks that I was taking running back in the second round was when it was between Breece Hall and Puka.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more value with Breece Hall, but outside of that.
The only first rounders I could think as a running back, maybe I would say Bijan number 1, and then Jahmyr Gibbs is an easy.
I have seen that.
Christian McCaffrey in a PPR too. He's going to get his catches.
Yeah.
I think Christian McCaffrey has value, but you're right as far as going. So it depends on what you want to build your team for. You can. So Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. So if I wanted to as a number 2 pick, and because I have a pretty advantageous spot, I could build my team as a powerhouse to win within the next 2 seasons, understanding that it's probably all going to fall off for me right away. 100%. Yeah. And then, if I win a championship, it's fine, right?
Yeah, you make that money. That's the whole point, right?
I really don't understand the folks who are I'm doing I forgot what it's called, but it's you're intentionally building a bad team or just getting a player that you trade away for future capital. I'm I don't dynasty leagues can get so finicky and have such a short lifespan. Give me my rings now.
Yeah, I pay too much money to punt on any year. So
Very fair.
Yeah, so I don't want to give you guys too much of a look into my strategy, but I did say that I have a plan for tight end, and my plan is going to come into fruition within the next 4 rounds, we'll say. Like I said, I don't want to spill the tea. But we're doing 8-hour pick clocks. And there's 12 people in the league, like I said. Brandon did mention that we're doing snake for the first 2 rounds, and once it flips back around in round 3, it's going to stay the same. Is that correct?
Yep.
I would argue even the last pick in the first round and then getting the first pick of the second round is maybe the best spot you could have in a dynasty.
I think so too.
Hey,
I think so too. That's up to Pessa.
Hey, Brandon, could you look at the draft picks, like the draft board for me? Because right now it's showing snake every round.
Oh,
because like in the 13th round I have the 11th pick, in the 14th round I have the 2nd pick, in the 15th round I have the 11th pick, so on and so forth.
Let's see here. So
I think
because if that happens, this league is already under protest because I was expecting to have the 2nd pick in every single round after the 3rd.
I think you're just looking for something to protest.
I mean, hey, get your protests out early. That's what I say. Stop the steal. That's also what I say.
Steel City.
So, Brian, let's talk more about fantasy football.
Okay, so it doesn't keep it the same. The 3rd round reversal reverses the direction of the snake starting from the 3rd round. So it just
reverses the direction.
Yeah, so that's my bad. Poor communication. We're getting better.
Else is new?
I know it. I'll tell you what, organizing this has been the most difficult thing I've ever done. It's like herding a bunch of one-legged sheep. I mean, this has been such a grind.
And then now you got Grace in there because she's an ultimate wild card.
Oh yeah,
it's Grace / Brian because I know Brian's gonna fucking help. Is her?
Hey, I told her I fully mean it. It's all her unless she asks for it. I'm not gonna intrude on that. I believe in Grace.
Yeah, I'm just juiced that we got so many people who are committed and that's why I thought this league had such a good foundation because I mean it was 10 years of that redraft league. That's incredible. So
and then we always keep dropping like flies, dude.
I think
there's like tough. 4 people left in that original draft.
We had I believe that, but I mean, now we got such a good foundation because, I mean, these dynasty leagues, like if you botch today, I mean, there's so many people that could just like leave with the shitty team behind and the league collapses. But it feels like we got a lot of good folks here.
Yeah, I hope so. I was talking to Austin Gillen earlier this morning about kind of draft strategy in the league. Neither one of us really knows what we're doing. But, I mean, I've played Madden enough to know that if you want to build a good team, you got to get young superstars. You got to get your franchise quarterback. You got to get young superstars. That's the plan. Just draft all the good players.
Preach.
You see, when I'm in Madden, I build through the offensive line. So I think that's what I'm going to do starting with the first pick. I'm just going to take Trent Williams and build out from there.
Trent Williams, Tyler Linderbaum. Speaking of that, what's up? Did you see all that news about the Iowa pipeline to the NFL that nobody's talking about? Iowa pipeline.
I wonder why nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, I wonder why nobody's talking about it. Because it's fucking massive. It's huge.
Could you please elaborate?
I don't know. Tristan Wirfs just got paid, so now everybody on Twitter, or the Iowa fans on Twitter, are obviously celebrating him. And there's some non-Iowa football fans who are upset about this fact. And the Iowa football fans are saying, "Well, look, here's all of our draft picks, and here's all of the successful ones. Where are yours?" Turns out Taylor Martinez was not a good draft pick for whoever he went. Was it the Rams?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair move. But you expect it with the powerhouse program like that. When you win all those championships, you expect those guys to have success at the league. I mean, it's tough being in a spot. Nebraska doesn't have a lot of NFL talent, and they don't win a lot of championships because of it. It would be frustrating to have all that NFL talent and still not be able to do anything with it.
Brett just cracked. Oh,
Yeah, because you know how many championships Iowa's won, Brian?
I'm gonna go 0.
Yeah, it's 0. It's not a lot. It's not in recent history. Hey, but we make it. We're there. We're in the show.
That's
On
true,
like
yeah.
a technicality. But you're right.
Technicality. We had 10 wins. 10 wins every season.
Yeah,
10 wins.
I
Count them.
As a Nebraska fan, I can't dive too much into that because Nebraska's had the favor of that same technicality being in the Big Ten West. But if I was not a Nebraska fan, I mean, none of that matters to me. Oh, congrats. You beat up on Minnesota and Purdue. Congrats.
Hey, how was the first? What was the who did Nebraska play the opening game of last year? Who was the season opener?
That was
Oh
Minnesota.
fuck, that was Minnesota. Oh no. Oh no.
Wait. So Minnesota beat both Nebraska and Iowa and still didn't make a bowl game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They
need to do a 30 for 30 on that.
That's so much.
Yeah,
Brian, you're a Pitt
behind the
fan.
scenes there for sure.
Yeah, for real. Brian, you're a Pitt fan, and I just want to ask you, how does it feel to just be a fan of a school that probably just doesn't belong in a Power 5 conference?
We used to like 3 years ago.
Do
So
you feel
you guys
like
are in the
walls of
ACC now?
like collapsing? Like
Not having a
on you?
quarterback is just horrendous for Pittsburgh. And Kenny Pickett was our guy, and it sucks that he's now a backup in the NFL because I had such high hopes for him in the moment. Remember he did that fake slide? Remember the fake slide?
That was so sick.
I do
Wore
it.
2 gloves.
I do
He
it
was
in
so
my
quirky.
office. I do it in my office.
Okay, that's
I
pretty
walk
cool.
up to somebody, act like I'm gonna slide, and I just keep walking.
It's banned now, not allowed anymore. Yeah, I think our defense is historically top tier, though. I will say that. Pitt's secondary, Pitt's D-line has always been good. If anything, they score more than our offense, or they should. So we'll take the little things.
I mean, I guess it's just that Pittsburgh mentality. If you want to go and live in Pittsburgh, you have to have a good defense. So
True.
even like shop owners, like they don't get robbed at all just because their fucking defense is incredible. You know what I mean? Like there's just nothing going on
Self-defense
over
is
there.
an initiation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick, gotta hop off, fellas. Godspeed today. It's a beautiful
Who's your
day.
first
We
pick?
made it. We'll see. Well, yeah, we'll see.
It doesn't.
Well, Brian,
doesn't-
where are you drafting at?
He already went.
No, where
Oh,
are
what
you?
about you?
Brian's not in the league. Well, he's drafting at 10th. Him and Grace are drafting.
Oh, that's
at 10th.
right. He's not. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get.
I
Joe
wanted somebody
Burrow.
not good.
I would like to
Joe
get
Burrow?
Joe Burrow.
Joey Burrows.
That's my number one target.
I like
Or
that.
if one of the other quarterbacks ahead of him fall for some reason, I'll snatch him up. But Joe Burrow's if he's available, I'll be juiced. All right, Godspeed, fellas. Mwah.
All right, later, brother. Talk to you in a bit. Finally, that fucking guy's gone. Oh wait.
That was great timing.
All right. Okay, so let's talk more about fantasy football draft strategy, dynasty football draft strategy.
Let's do it.
So we talked about your draft strategy going into year 2. What do you watch out for when you're looking for prospects? Are you like really inundated with the minutia of training camp, or you're just kind of like the day-to-day stuff? You know, this guy's trending up, this guy's trending down, or do you look like overall body of work type stuff?
So for the draft itself, we already did ours for my second year pre-training camp. So we didn't take any notes from that. It was well before that even began. So you're basically looking at their college resume and running off of that. And in that case, I value a lot with consistency. I like to see like, oh, this guy had a huge senior year. Like that's not the best, investment, I think, if you're drafting dynasty, because like, who knows if they're gonna bust right away or if they have a great freshman year and then they're garbage in their sophomore year and don't find a spot on their team anymore. It's just so up and down with rookies. So I think consistency is huge. The draft itself, I will say, because I didn't mention this before, I know you guys are doing the 8-hour draft for like your first opening one. I don't really believe in trading in the first opening draft just because I think it's so like evenly distributed among everybody and that every player is there that you're going to find somebody of value. Maybe in like the later rounds, it's worth it just to like trade back if you really don't care for whoever's projected to go then. But I think there's value in just sticking with your original pick in that one.
Yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, the more like the bigger deal I'm starting to realize it is that I got the number 2 pick, because like going from 10 to 2, I feel like kind of just changed my whole outlook on this entire
That's
league
huge.
this season, because I got Patrick Mahomes, so I'm set at quarterback, and now I can kind of just do whatever. I hold my future in my hands.
With quarterback specifically, and if there's a super flex in the league, I wouldn't take anybody that's like above 27 years old. Mahomes is probably 27, 28 right now, so he's
something around there. So he's probably the oldest you'd go. What about like a Lamar Jackson type?
Oh, give me him in the first round. I think he's worth it. It's just his wide receiver core has sucked forever, and if you want a quarterback that's going to be throwing touchdowns, I'd take. Oh, Prescott's old, but he did lead the league in touchdowns last year.
17th best QB in the league last year. You know, not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah, that's true. I snagged, ironically, so I took Tua as my first quarterback off the board in my 3rd round, and then led the league. God bless his Hill and Waddle dynamic duo. But then I snagged in the 10th round because this was last year. This was his last. Basically freshman starting. I got Brock Purdy, who I think is going to be going much earlier in a draft that would start this year, just based off last year's performance alone. So that was a steal of arguably the whole draft. Humbly.
Well, okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. Is like, what do you think your best draft pick was last year? So it's Brock Purdy
is up there, and then like in a trash round, and this was so stupid. It's my biggest dynasty regret I've made so far. I took Kyron Williams in like round 14. Or 15. And it was literally just like the guy that was projected there. I'm going to be honest, I had no idea who he really was, but I was like, I'll use another rookie running back, or what was he? He was like a first year. And I traded him in like, in like the first 3 weeks. And then he did what he did. And now hopefully, I mean, for my sake, he doesn't have as good a year. I have a lot of hope in Blake Corum making that like a 50-50 split in the backfield too. So we'll see how that goes. I'm very curious there. I really wanted Corum this year in my rookie draft. I tried to make like 3 trades to get up to that pick where he was projected to go, and I couldn't pull it off. So Bucky Irving it is.
I don't think it's a bad idea to go after Jim Harbaugh disciples. Is Jim or John? Which one? Which one's the LA coach? Jim. John's
with the Ravens.
Yep, Jim Harbaugh disciples. Like, so like basically what I mean is like, I was doing a mock draft and I saw that I fucking totally lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I saw that the Chargers had a rookie running back out there, and I was like, okay, I'm taking him. Like, I want to run behind Jim Harbaugh's offensive line. That guy's going to have a great season, or at least a great first couple years.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's kind of where my mind is.
Especially when their running back room right now is absolute garbage. Maybe not garbage, but it's so confusing with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins as like their technical 2 starters, and then there's just like a whole depth of rookies and
but both of those guys have had season-ending injuries within the last 3 years. So I
think there's chance for rookies to. No, I'm agreeing with you there for sure.
Oh, okay. Because it's funny. I was listening to another podcast the other day, and somebody just said this was their quote unquote take of the year, and he said Gus Edwards will lead the league in NFL rushing touchdowns, and that's all been stuck in my head, and I believe it. I'll take that to my grave. Gus Edwards will have the most rushing touchdowns in 2024.
My old roommate who loves Dynasty, if not probably more than I do. He'll like study this stuff too. His big take is that Roshan Johnson with the Bears is going to lead the league in rushing touchdowns, with the theory that DeAndre Swift was on the Eagles last year. He barely got any touchdowns. They usually pass that off to Hurts or somebody else. And Roshan Johnson's not like the biggest guy, but he's bigger than Swift. So if they're in like a goal line territory, Caleb Williams is not going to be a Jalen Hurts per se, but we'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting.
Well, plus they might want to. I mean, Caleb Williams obviously has extreme talent, but you know, like you kind of want to protect the rookie, especially when it gets down to the goal line like that, when the field shrinks. You know, you don't want them to. You want to minimize the mistakes, not compound them.
He's no longer.
So it makes sense that they start to run it. Yeah,
he's going to be getting hit by.
He's not facing Pac-12 defenses.
No, it's best to leave that to the running backs for sure when he's your franchise guy.
Yeah, I saw before we came on. I saw a meme. It was a video of Trey Lance at practice, and it said, "Oh, the 1 year under Dak Prescott has done."
I
Trey
saw
Lance
that too.
right." And it's him just throwing it
Immediate pick.
right to a linebacker. Yeah.
There was just nobody even in that area.
Oh, dude, it was so fucking funny. If I could find it here really fast.
That's
But
where I'm
while I look,
happy that I wasn't in a dynasty league during that draft specifically, because that probably ruined so many people's next couple of years.
dude, I can imagine.
Trey
Okay,
Lance,
here it
Trey
is. Actually,
Zach Wilson. Yeah. You want to get into sleepers?
I do, and just give me 1 second. I'm going to share this because I just need to show the people because it's just so fucking funny.
By all means. Oh, you got the video.
Yeah. So 1 year under Dak Prescott has done Trey Lance wonders. Play action fake, staring down a linebacker, sees the crosser, says, "I'm going to throw it right at that linebacker."
Bro, it wasn't even close. It was a great pass to the linebacker.
Dude, it was so good. You see, my favorite part is he looked right at him. Like he's looking at him there and then just.
Yeah. It wasn't like no look or
Mhm.
trying to lob it over him. It went straight into his chest. He wasn't moving.
No, he was reading his eyes, came down, and just fucking oh my god, it was great.
God.
Trey Lance is still a young guy. When do we start calling Trey Lance the biggest bust in draft history though?
I wouldn't go draft.
It's not his fault
Who's
that
that?
he was taken number 2 overall, but
True. Oh, he's
he was
definitely
taken number 2
a
overall.
gigantic bust. There's no doubt about that. I don't see a comeback in his future at all, personally. He's like the 4th string on the Cowboys.
Yeah, no playing time in sight, and it doesn't look like he's.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, being in media, you only see what people want you to see. I'm starting to realize. So it's that's probably not the whole story. Like, there's probably other parts of training camp that are good, and that's just a funny video, but it's a fucking hilarious video.
I think Purdy had a great analysis of this. I saw you had a quote the other day that was because he ended up practice throwing like 2 picks in a row or something. And he was like, the point of training camp is to test things out and see, like, do you think I can fit the ball through this gap? Like, if I lob this, is there going to be enough time for it to get to him before the corner drops in or the safety drops in? And he's like, this is the time to be making those, decisions that you wouldn't make in a live NFL game just to test it out. And of course, there's going to be picks and bad throws. So that's just part of it.
I like that. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That makes sense. Actually, let's talk about in-season strategy. Like, what is your strategy? So, like, you're done with the draft or going into the season. Let's say it's like week 2 or 3. Like I said, you traded Kyron Williams early. You regret that. So what have you learned from that? And what's your strategy going into it for your second season?
I definitely learned pretty early on, despite Kyron Williams and that trade, that I was definitely a potential to make it to the definitely playoffs, but championship, just because I was absolutely blowing out the teams I would play. That being said, my draft was leaning win now, I would say, with the older guys that have more potential. First couple weeks, Adam Thielen, he was my guy, named my team after him, and then he dropped off the face of the earth, of course, and I no longer have him on my team. But I would say when you know that you're like a win now potential, which you can probably tell for sure by like weeks 5 and 6, it's time to figure out those gaps in your team and maybe give up some future picks or younger players for like that older player who you won't have for that long, but will definitely contribute like actively in that given year. So there's sacrifices that are going to need to be made. And then, on the other hand, if which you can also tell pretty easily if this is not your year. I know you guys were saying earlier you want to be a win now team, but at a point you just got to accept that next year's your best option. I wouldn't say actively tank, but definitely try and make some sacrifices to get a first or second round pick in the next year. The first round picks are so valuable in Dynasty, and I didn't have one this year and I don't have one next year. And that's fine for me because of the team I've built so far. But I definitely want to start stocking up there because you can get some decade-long star players with them that are just like unmatched as soon as it gets to round 2 in a rookie draft.
Like like a Malik Neighbors type player, or at least somebody who like who's supposed to have a high ceiling anyway. I see what you're saying.
100%. I ended up with Pearsall, which I'm not mad about at all. He's been hurt in training camp, which kind of sucks. I wanted to see him get out there and practice with the team.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping they would trade Brandon Ayuk, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening now.
Dude, we've been on Brandon Ayuk watch for fucking months. Like we've been talking about it since what is it, May? It's like early May.
Like,
yeah,
like 3 months ago. I have
trade
inside sources. They're trading either Ayuk or Debo this week. It's August. Why is he still there?
And then Adam Schefter came out a couple weeks ago and said, "Why would they trade him? They want to win now." I was like, "Fuck, that's a good point."
Yeah, don't have to. No one's making them. They got 1 year.
Yep. Yeah, so that's annoying. But I mean, that 49ers offense, I'm excited to see what it looks like. So I love the Oklahoma City Thunder strategy of just trading for every single draft pick in the draft, but 5 years from now. Is that a viable strategy for me moving forward? Because that's all I wanted. That's all I'm thinking about for year 2.
If you're win now, like you're shooting for, I would not say so. Maybe in like 2 to 3 years, you can start doing that, but take advantage.
So if I start 0-2, it's draft pick season.
Yeah, let's
I'm going to declare that right now. 0-2, I'm done. Hitting the fucking abort button. We're hitting the red button. We're getting out of there. Patrick Mahomes, I'm getting 3 first-round picks for you, buddy.
I ended up trading a pick that I traded for. I traded back again. And in addition, I got like a second round next year, which was huge for me. And I got Spencer Rattler, who my quarterback depth is not there. I have Purdy and Tua. And then I picked up Jarrett Stidham just in case he starts. And like one of my quarterbacks has a bye week and he's playing. It's a last resort thing for me. But I think Spencer Rattler has a big future too as a backup to Derek Carr. I really do not believe in Derek Carr long term. So I hope he takes over, and that would be.
I don't think he finishes the season.
I agree. I can get behind that. Did you see they had an interview with Olave, and they were like, "Yeah, has there been any like big plays that happened during training camp so far where you're like, this team is gonna make it? Like, oh my God, we are them this year." He went, "No." She just like was. There's no words shared after that, and everyone's like, "Yeah, nah, their season's over. R.I.P. the Saints."
That's so funny. Because every year at training camp, I feel like they always talk about, "Oh, this Saints defense is elite. They could do something." Now it's just there's no hype whatsoever.
Oh
even Olave's upset.
Yeah, I feel so bad. I thought he had so much potential too, and he does, but like not with Derek Carr.
They've been in cap hell for, I want to say, almost since they won the Super Bowl. For almost like 15 years at this point.
Yeah, it's
crazy. They don't know what to do with themselves. Have
you seen Bo Nix or Stidham? What's your thoughts there?
I think it's going to be Jarrett Stidham. They've been trying to hype up Jarrett Stidham since early June. Tyler and I were just talking about this the other night. So I guess I can't be too mad at Tyler that he's not here because we technically did our podcast when we were both drunk at 1 a.m. the other night. We started talking about sports. So that fucking dickhead, I guess, is off the hook. But so they've been hyping up Jarrett Stidham since OTAs. You could tell like when you're invested in your local teams, beat writers, and you kind of tell how they write and kind of tell like who the Broncos or who the media is kind of pushing to be the front runner, and it looks like it's going to be Jarrett Stidham. Plus, Bo Nix is obviously struggling in camp. JJ McCarthy is obviously struggling in camp. So it turns out that reaching on a first-round quarterback might not be the best move for your franchise, at least for year 1. We'll see what happens year 2, but it's tough to draft a 25-year-old and not start him right away. So that's kind of where my mind is at. You know what I mean?
I was also shocked. I mean, mid-draft I might have been with you during the draft. I forget, but
no, you guys were at Crystal City Sports Pub. We were live streaming the draft. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true. I remember when the Vikings picked JJ McCarthy, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is one of the weirdest picks they could have made right now." And then they got Sam Darnold going, and in training camps, he's looked incredible. And
you're high on Sam Darnold this year.
He's so back.
All right,
that's great for me having JJ on my team. I would rather have Sam Darnold throwing it to him than JJ. Jets. He goes by now. I have Justin Jefferson and not McCarthy.
I don't know who Justin Jefferson is. Jets, though. I know who that is.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, I didn't know you had Jets. That's cool. Yeah. Wait, Justin Jefferson and Jets are the same guy?
Yeah. He gave up JJ to McCarthy. That was a fun
That's
little clip.
crazy. you see that? Dude, Caleb Williams being number 18 is weird to me. I don't like it.
It's not fitting.
Yeah. I mean, I know Keenan Allen's number 13, which I forgot Keenan Allen was on the Bears. I can't wait. This is my favorite part of the year where I forget how teams, like who teams picked up during the offseason. Like, dude, you know Saquon Barkley was a fucking Eagle? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, man, right? Patrick
That's
Queen,
insane.
Steelers, big move.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of upset about that. I have always liked Patrick Queen. I was kind of hoping the Broncos would get him, but we can't get anybody good
That was a
on
huge
defense.
pickup for them.
I know. It's so annoying.
Chase
You're a
Young,
Patriots fan, though, right?
He's on the Saints. That one.
Chase Young's on the Saints?
Chase Young, yeah, that was. I did not see that.
I did not know that. I think that
I'm
might
a
be good
Patriots
for him,
fan,
actually. Ooh,
I have
that might
high
be good
hopes for the
him.
Patriots. Two of my sleepers we'll get into later are both Patriots.
Yeah, we'll move into sleepers next. I just want to ask your thoughts on Drake May. How is camp going for Drake May?
I've seen the whole thing about like Milton. It's Milton era. He's playing out of his mind. Drake May is definitely performing well, I think, but maybe he's not exceeding expectations.
Wait, Joe Milton?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was on the Patriots.
All I've seen recently has been Joe Milton. Yeah, because they drafted two quarterbacks.
That's so funny. I mean, Milton can throw an over 100 yards. People don't talk about that enough.
He's got a huge arm, no doubt about that. Is he the most accurate? Not necessarily. Did he throw a cool pass and then do a backflip in training camp? Yeah, that was sick. Start him week one for sure.
I'm drafting. How do I trade Patrick Mahomes and draft Joe Milton instead?
Yo, second pick overall in Dynasty, Joe Milton.
I mean, that's basically picking Trey Lance, number 2 overall.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You're just hoping he grows into himself.
During that draft.
Hey, in 7 years, my team's going to be fucking on point, and that's going to be because of Joe Milton.
Yeah, that's true. We'll probably be on like the Raiders or something. Quote me on that.
All right, so you've been alluding to it, so let's get into it. Give me some sleepers, give me some busts. Let's start with your top 5 sleepers. What are you thinking?
Oh, I forgot to make busts on my notes here.
That's okay.
I can go through a couple though. I have 2 tight ends. I have 2 wide receivers, both on the Patriots, and then 1 running back as my sleepers here. So first one, I have Pat Freiermuth, tight end, Patriots. I think he's had a lot of injuries in his first couple of years. I want to say he's only 25, but while he was at Penn State, he was such a red zone threat, and that's totally going to be applicable, I think, in this new offense with either Russell Wilson or Fields behind him at a quarterback. Obviously, the connection with Kenny Pickett and their offensive coordinator was just horrendous and gave no potential to anybody on their offense. So hopefully the Steelers offense can figure it out this year. And I think Pat Freiermuth is probably going to benefit the most, maybe a lot up there with Pickens. So he's one of those. Oh, I wrote this down too. His sophomore year in the NFL, he had 7 games as a top 10 tight end. And then last year, and I remember this game vividly, after returning from like a 4 or 5 week injury stint, he became tight end 2 and had like 18 points in a horrible Steelers offense. And I was like, because he was on my bench, no one would have played him at that time. But he absolutely balled out, and it was heartbreaking. And then I have my second tight end. This guy's a rookie, Ben Sinnott with the Commanders, local guy for us.
Okay.
He's got Daniels at quarterback. He's got a great veteran presence with Ertz, who's been a receiving tight end his whole career. Ertz probably has. I would be shocked if he goes another year after this year. But yeah, he's 6'4", 247. He's shifty enough to be a talented rookie tight end and have long-term potential, hopefully, there. My wide receiver 1 sleeper, Demario Douglas of the Patriots.
Okay.
I want to say last year was his rookie year. Patriots do have a very up-in-the-air wide receiver core. They have like still Juju and KJ Osborne they got from the Vikings in the offseason.
Does Juju still both have both knees? I was told one of them might fall off.
I wouldn't be shocked if he had 0.
Okay.
And then Devontae Parker obviously retired. Well, he was traded to the Eagles first and then retired. That was just so pointless. But God bless. He was a burden to the Patriots, overpaid, everything. But Demario Douglas, what I read here, last year he was 23. He was averaging 5 to 6 receptions towards the end of his first year with Mac Jones and Zappy at quarterback. And then the last 2 weeks, he had over a 90% snap share in both games. So they obviously see the potential in him. They want to use him. And I hope that Drake May or Brissett, honestly, I have a lot of respect for Brissett as a quarterback too, can get him out there with the targets. He had no red zone opportunities. Like, you're not going to be a good wide receiver if you can't get into the end zone, and that's not on him. That's on the quarterbacks for the Patriots. And then the second Patriot receiver I got is Javon Baker. I love this kid. He was their second wide receiver they drafted behind Polk this year. He's so exciting to watch. He's a big playmaker. He's just like a funny guy when you see interviews of him. He's very full of himself in a way that's like confidence. And it's like, damn, this guy wants to be good and he wants to prove himself. He was a 4th round pick. 6'1", 200 plus pounds. He'll be a good deep threat that I don't think they necessarily have right now. He was averaging 21.9 yards per catch on his last season with UCF, which is absurd. And then I got my last sleeper here, and I talked about him earlier, Blake Corum. I really, really wanted on my dynasty team. I think he could have a great career. He showed himself so well at Michigan. They did not throw the ball, and they won the national championship, and that's not because of J.J. McCarthy. That's because of Blake Corum. And I could totally see the Rams pulling into this year with a 2 running back scheme with Kyron Williams and Corum, which hopefully works out because then I can not be mad about myself for trading Kyron Williams too. So it's a win-win there.
So basically your list is somebody has to stand out for the Patriots wide receiver room. So you're just hedging your bets there.
Well, Polk is probably ironically going to be the standout. I didn't mention him as a sleeper because I don't think he is a sleeper. I think he's just got
He's got talent. Yeah,
he's extremely talented from Washington. Yeah.
So when you're looking at unsung guys, what is the stat you look at most? I mean, you mentioned snap share. You mentioned, obviously like receptions. Do you look at targets? Do you look at what are the other things you look at to like identify a sleeper in your
big one is changing quarterback. If they're coming off a season with a bad quarterback, that's not to be overlooked at all. I think a lot of blame for a really talented receiver not doing well. Like Devontae Adams, for example, is a great example of that. I mean, he's been talented from his rookie year, but if he was playing with Aiden O'Connell from his rookie year, he wouldn't be the Devontae Adams that we know today. It's like a top 2 receiver in the NFL. So now that they got Drake May, they got Brissett, I need to see obviously like 1 or 2 years of the young guys playing well with them to be fully on board, with them being like star level potential or have a really high ceiling. On top of that, I think it's just about getting them the ball and seeing what they can do after that too. The yards after catch is huge. Separation. How well can they beat the defense? So this year's going to be big for me, I guess, following these guys and seeing if it's worth it to try and pick them up. Not pick them up, but trade for them.
Yeah. How easy are how much easier are trades in a dynasty than they are, let's say, redraft leagues?
It's intricate. It really is. I don't know if you use trade
Reason sleeper.
Keep trade,
no.
Whatever it's called.
No, I don't.
You should
think
try
so.
that out. You put in exactly like what the trade offers would be because they have the option to put in like early 2nd round pick to make it like really accurate of the fairness level, or like 2026 4th round pick, like random stuff like that you can throw in to keep trade cut, and it'll tell you if it's fair or not. I haven't even sent out a trade if I don't know it's close to fair on keep trade cut, just because I believe in their system, and I think most people in my league do too. I'm pretty sure if you get a trade request, anybody in my league is going to put it right in there just to see what it says. So it is difficult because obviously trading picks in general is such a big what if. Because if you see that pick and during your draft that you trade away and it goes for like a Tyreek Hill level player like 4 years down the line, you're gonna look back at it and be like, oh my God, why did I do that? I've already done that with Kyron, so I feel it. I also traded, I don't even want to share this because I'm so embarrassed, traded for Alexander Madison. And that was before last year too. So
no.
Fill in the Dalvin Cook role. He had a great job as Cook's backup. It was time for him to shine. Now he's a backup to Zamir White on the Raiders.
Yeah, I remember you were sick about that all season last year. It's all you could talk every single week is like fucking
Yeah,
out of there.
I remember. Yeah.
This fucking
Shit,
guy.
it sucks. I hate it. I still have him. I have to believe that he's gonna somehow prove himself this year, and it wasn't all for nothing, but it was probably all for nothing.
Probably all for nothing.
Yeah.
All right, so we got your sleepers. We don't this motherfucker. Sorry, I'm texting Tyler's wife right now. You don't have any busts, we don't have to talk about busts, but like what are some guys, so what are some maybe older guys that you wouldn't necessarily target in the first maybe 10 rounds of the draft? Like, would you like, how do you feel about Saquon Barkley going into this year? How do you feel about even Tyreek Hill going into this year?
Barkley has never had an offensive line like this. I wouldn't be shocked if he leads the lead in not touchdowns, because Hurts is gonna hawk a bunch of those. There's no doubt about that. That's part of his job as a rushing quarterback. But I would say any of the older guys that have showed the skill, that are on a team that's now very new. Like if you look at the Titans, you've got like Tyler Boyd as their wide receiver 3. Like he was always a good safety pick. Now I don't think it's really necessarily worth it. Ridley's also there. Last year he was a bust. He had so much hype going into the year. If you remember that in training camp, he was shifty as hell. He is still shifty as hell. But Ridley's
shifty on those fucking betting lines. What the hell?
yeah. He's probably off the radar for me now too, just being on the Titans offense and not knowing what that's going to look like at all either.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to be out for the first couple weeks anyway.
Well, I don't think. Oh, is that confirmed? I saw indefinitely. I thought he was going to be.
He's
back
out 4 to 6 is the time frame they gave him. So I'm assuming he'll be back by week 2, week 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple weeks. So that'll be interesting. But for dynasty purposes, he's going to be back. Also, they're just a team of all older wide receivers.
Yeah.
They don't have young guys except like Ikene Westbrook. Is that a guy? I like that name.
I'm sure he exists somewhere.
Yeah, but I would just avoid that kind of situation. I'm trying to think of other teams that are in that too. You guys are a 12-man league and you don't have many active spots, so I don't think you'll have to run that deep into players necessarily the way I'm talking about it.
Do you guys do defense in your league? Like defenses?
We do not do defense. We don't do kickers either.
Okay. I didn't know if that was so. Is that like standard for Dynasty then? I didn't even realize that was our format until yesterday.
Yeah, I would say so, probably.
Okay. Yeah, so for our starting lineup, we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 3 flexes, and then 1 super flex.
Okay, I like that. I have 2 flexes in mine, and then the super flex, and then
our bench is fucking. Yeah. So to kind of put it in perspective, there's 26 rounds in this draft.
Okay, I think
we have 26 roster spots.
All right, so that's a huge bench. So maybe it's totally looking into these people. Then you're gonna have spots for them. There's no doubt about that. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So my strategy going into it, I guess by the time everyone hears this, hopefully the second round. Actually, God damn, I don't know, because I know fucking that little weasel Brandon is going to listen to this. I know he's going to fucking cuck me. It's going to piss me off.
Yeah, don't do it then. Don't do it then. It's not worth it.
I really want to say my fucking strategy, and I think it's a solid strategy.
You do need a good tight end. I will say
I'm drafting Sam Laporta in the second round.
I respect that.
Because so I have the 11th pick in the second round. Once it gets back to me, I
don't know if I respect that, dude. I take it back. There's other tight ends that are going to perform. Second round, you can get a.
But I'm thinking long term. It's Sam Laporta and Dan Campbell's defense. He had a fucking phenomenal rookie season. Like, I think he can still be I think he can be a very high production guy for the future, and then I can still get value at wide receiver and running back afterwards. That's what I'm thinking.
I would say look who else is on the board still, though. Because if you have 2 wide receiver slots, 3 flex slots, 2 running back slots, the other positions are going to be.
Right now, 2 picks in, Sam Laporta is still the top tight end on the board.
Well, yeah, he's going to be the top tight end for the whole until a tight end's picked. But like, what are like the top 3 players that are on the board right now?
Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid. I don't trust either one of those guys.
Get out of the tight end. I mean, in general.
Oh, don't lock yourself
into picking a tight end in the second round. If there's an incredibly talented young like receiver or running back, like if there's like a Jahmyr Gibbs level person, Take him.
I guess that's a good point because I forgot that the snake switches after the second round. So I have the 11th pick in the second round. They have the 11th pick in the third round. So I have to wait. That's a long.
An incredible wide receiver or an incredible running back matched up against an opponent's like mid running back or mid wide receiver is going to be a much bigger consistent boost than having a really good tight end that might have some days he gets 3 touchdowns or might be a blocking tight end in some games. Laporte is definitely a receiving tight end through and through, but if I just wouldn't lock in a tight end in the second round. I don't think I've seen that in any what's it called? Mock drafts.
Zig when they zag, brother. I'm trying to go against the grain here. We're trying to build something. We're building a culture. We're building a team. All right. We're not building a play. We're not building a list of players. All right. We're building a team.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. I'm curious to see who's on the board when you're picking.
I'm curious too, because fucking Tyler's apparently still sleeping. He's been on the clock for 45 minutes now.
Good thing he's still 7 hours.
Chomping. No shit. He's just chomping at the. Everyone's just chomping at the bit, trying to get in here.
Is he pick 3?
Yeah, he's picked 3.
Oh, okay.
So right now on the board, I mean, at least top on the board according to Sleeper is C.J. Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Lamar Jackson. Top 4 available right now.
Ooh, pick 3 and 4 is so tough with that list.
Yeah, because I mean, assuming Tyler goes Lamar Jackson. Actually, I can see Tyler going Justin Jefferson. I can see Tyler not knowing what the fuck he's talking about.
I wouldn't take JJ until 5. I would take either of those 2 quarterbacks, Stroud or Lamar, over JJ.
Yeah. Who do you like more, Lamar or Stroud? So Stroud, obviously, he does have the longevity aspect. He's a second-year guy, but he doesn't really run as much. Lamar does run, but there's that injury aspect, and he's a little older. Who do you put over? Like who?
You
who's
also
above
look at
one another?
Stroud's receiving core. He's got Diggs, who's probably got a couple years left. You got
Tank Dell coming back.
Nico Collins and Tank Dell are both extremely talented and young, so he'll have them unless they get traded, obviously, or something for a while. So it is. I would probably lean Lamar just because of his rushing aspect that Stroud doesn't have. But it's close. Stroud's really talented. He's shown that, and he's like 22 years old still. Or maybe 23 now. But yeah. I have to go Lamar, MVP of last year.
So I was just thinking about it. I was kind of running through some scenarios in my head while you were talking. And best case scenario. So obviously the number 2 pick, awesome. It's a windfall. Patrick Mahomes, my fucking team is set. I drafted Patrick Mahomes, which means he's probably going to get hurt.
That's not horrible
best
mentality.
Case scenario. No, best case scenario. Best case scenario, he gets hurt. He's out for the season. Then we start to tank, and I just get all the draft picks. I still have Patrick Mahomes as my quarterback. We're fucking ready to go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's and the Chiefs get to fucking suck for a year.
Hopefully Hollywood Brown goes off for him too. I can see Mahomes having a.
I was looking at him, yeah. So like that's the frustrating part. You remember when Tom Brady was at the top of his game, but you could never really figure out. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if you remember this, but you could never really figure out which wide receiver was going to be his fantasy number 1 because he fucking there was no really good wide receiver. Like they had Deion Branch. I mean, you knew Rob Gronkowski was going to be good and people like that, but it's just
Wes Welker. He was always going to be good.
Yeah, maybe. And
he had years
maybe I'm wrong with that take.
Chris Hogan was like up there. It's like or Amendola.
Yeah. But it's just, you can never really predict which receiver was going to be the best because they were all just kind of really just even. And that's kind of how I feel with the Chiefs too. Like, Travis Kelce's going to get his catch. He's going to be super productive. But then who else among the pack? I feel like everyone's just staying right here. You know what I mean?
Well, they have, why am I blanking on the rookie's name? What is
the tiny guy, tiny little boy.
The fastest.
Worthy,
Xavier Worthy. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have high expectations for him. He's so scrawny.
I kind of agree with you. Who was their second? Who was the second Texas wide receiver taken? He's on the Who is he? I got him in my fantasy draft. I got him in one of my mock drafts, and I really liked it.
If you know the team, I could probably get it.
I want to say Chargers, but I might be wrong. Texas wide receivers in the draft.
Chargers to take a couple. I can look it up too.
No, just give me a list, dude. Don't give me an article. Fuck me. Oh, it's Colts. Adonai Mitchell.
Oh yeah, he
Adonai,
was
Adonai. Yeah,
a
I
second
kind of like
rounder.
him a lot. Yeah, I kind of like him a lot.
Yeah, I think he's got potential to be a baller for sure. Especially because they just have Pittman Jr. and like he can definitely be a wide receiver 3 to start the year, and I think he'll get some targets.
When should I draft a second quarterback? Because, obviously longevity is important. Like a guy like Anthony Richardson, he's probably going to go early, but if he's there like
You should
10th round,
probably try and get a star receiver, running back, tight end before you go for your second quarterback. Unless it's getting real thin on options, then it's worth maybe sending it a couple picks earlier than you should have. You just want a person that's going to be consistent, I think is huge. And like young doesn't necessarily matter for your second quarterback as long as they're going to be good, especially if you want to be a win now team. So like even I would avoid people like Gardner Minshew that are still fighting for a spot, but maybe snag like Kirk Cousins. He'll be a later one. Aaron Rodgers would be late. If somebody takes him before the first 10 rounds, that's a mistake. What did Tyler just pick him third overall?
No, I wish.
Aaron Rodgers.
Just him coming out with the flag, dude.
Yeah, you definitely want somebody that's going to be playing active time. There's no quarterback debate going on. You need at least 2 players that you're going to be putting in.
Well, shit.
Like
Well, dude, that's all the questions I have.
Purdy in the 10th. That was steal of the draft. Let me
You're
actually
really
see
excited
who
about
went
that.
after him in mind, because there were some quarterbacks too that people waited pretty late for. Again, it's a 14-man league, so a little different there, but
I just love this time of year. This is a time of hope.
yeah. No, I got Purdy in the 11th. I picked Darren
shit.
Waller.
So it's even bigger steal.
Yeah.
No, that sucks. The Darren Waller thing sucks, but hey, good on you for the Purdy thing.
Picked in the next round. Well, Matthew Stafford was taken before Purdy. And then the next quarterback taken was Hendon Hooker. It was the Lions backup. He was really talented in college, but they had an injury, and now they got Goff obviously going. Baker Mayfield dropped that low. Ryan Tannehill's gone now. Sam Darnold was one of the last quarterbacks taken. He might be worth it just for the next year or two, depending on what they do with JJ McCarthy. I would take another quarterback before Sam Darnold to clarify, but
I'm pulling up this article right now. It says top 4 running backs, top 4 dynasty stash young running backs.
Who we got?
Chase Brown from Cincinnati.
Yes, he's going to be a great backup.
Trey Benson from Arizona.
Rookie.
Jalen Wright from Miami.
They took Trey Benson pretty early in the draft, too.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that third one?
Jalen Wright from Miami.
Okay. They have such depth right now, and they got Devon Achane, so I don't know if that's necessarily a good one.
Well, I mean, it's the running back position. All these guys get hurt. I don't know. It's
true.
Whenever if you're a backup running back, you're going to eventually start. You're going to start a few games anyway, so there's good upside to that. Fair. I feel like. And then Kimani Vidal.
See Chargers, right?
Yeah.
He's the one who you were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Maybe accidentally, but yeah, I could totally see him. He had a lot of training camp hype too this year, but it's died down a little, I want to say. Now it's looking like he's on a bubble about to get cut. So we'll see how that goes.
Out of all those guys, I think I like Chase Brown the most because none of those guys have Zach Moss starting in front of them. And
he's also the only one with NFL experience too.
That's a good point.
And also a great point. Yeah. Zach Moss is I credit a lot.
He's okay. He could do something sometimes, but he's not like the biggest hitter in the league, and I think it's going to bode well for Chase Brown.
Chase Brown might not get the red zone handoffs. That's probably going to be Zach Moss' job for sure, which will suck for his early years until he takes over. But Zach Moss is also getting pretty old for running backs.
Well, we're at an hour, so let's wrap it up. Brian, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Saturday. Tyler, any last words? Any last questions? Anything?
Tyler?
Nope. Okay. Yeah, again, Brian, thank you so much for coming on, talking fantasy football with us. It's fantasy football season. It's football season. We're back, baby.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm so fucking excited to watch the Broncos lose their first 4 games, but I'll love every second of it. It's gonna be great. But everybody, thank you so much for listening. Even if you are listening, even if you're not, just don't turn it on in the background. YouTube, Spotify, you can find us Sundays with the Sprinkles. Sun Valley Sports Media is the new YouTube channel name. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Peace.